look here, about my journals, but now I have a planner and with my notebooks too. But this one has a page for like a vision board where you can put what is important, like reminders, appointments, anything that you want to remember for the month, a quote for the month. I love having a theme quote, goals and tasks, as well as the end of the month where you write your accomplishments, what you're proud of, and a daily tracking of your moods, to-do list, and what you're grateful for. And right now you can only order it through me, but I have a spiral version and a hardcover version, purple or blue. So just let me know. But I also have more products at lifewithfrancy.com/shop. Hello, and welcome to Life with Francy podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a place where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. On today's episode, I am so excited. We met through Women in Podcasting community. We're podcast hosts and podcast guests have a lot of resources and a lot of tools. And Jennifer Hensel has created a very supportive community for the woman in podcasting world. And the guest today is Amy Taylor. And I'm so excited to get to meet her. We live close. She's in Missouri and I'm in Kansas. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, finally I have a podcast friend that is locally, and she is the host of Advancing with Amy Taylor. And she's going to talk a little bit about her mental health journey as well. So I can't wait to meet her. Welcome to the show. Tell us, what is life with you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. Life with me right now, it is so busy. I have bipolar disorder, and on a time period a few months ago in August, September, I was hypermanic for a few months and signed up for a zillion different things. So I am trying to accomplish all of those things now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. We can only take it one day at a time. And sometimes I say, like a day, 24 hours is like very overwhelming. So you just have to take it 1 hour at a time.
Oh, I agree. You have to break things down into small steps.
We got to do we got to do. But can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. Ever since I've been young, I've had some mental health issues. And when I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with major recurrent depression. But when I hit my 30s, they had put me on Prozac. And I don't know if you know anything about Prozac, or just, it doesn't have to be Prozac, but any kind of antidepressant can make bipolar worse, make you more aggressive, volatile, that kind of thing. And when they put me on that, I just was so angry and so volatile. And I was yelling at my young son for nothing, and didn't like who I was becoming. So I went to my psychiatrist and said, something's wrong. I am not myself, and I don't like the parent I'm being, and told him what was going on. And he said, you know what? I think you have bipolar, and put me on a mood stabilizer. And that totally helped. So it wasn't like it was, oh, smooth sailing from then on. I still had ups and downs, and different, things would happen. But it was better, and I wasn't yelling at my kid all the time. So that was an improvement. So since my early 30s, I've been diagnosed bipolar.
Okay. And so when does becomes the part that you want to start your own podcast and sharing your mental health and having guests to talk about theirs?
Well, I've wanted to have a podcast for years, and I've wanted to write a book. I still want to write a book. So about bipolar disorder in my life. and I never had the energy or the confidence.
Mhm.
And then I actually got cancer in 2022. So just a couple years ago, year and a half ago. And I had thyroid cancer, and I was very angry that I had thyroid cancer and very resentful, and went through that whole grief process and had my thyroid taken out and then had to go to radioactive iodine therapy, which was a
Wow.
nightmare. Um, so things like that. And when I recovered from that, I realized that I had more energy. Like they had taken out my thyroid and put me on thyroid medication, and I suddenly had more energy. And then I decided, you know what? I want to do things. I've just been struggling to live through every day because I was so fatigued that I thought, you know what? I'm going to do some of the things I've been dreaming of doing forever. I survived cancer and I have energy now, so why not?
Hmm. Okay. And what are some um so now you so when did you start your podcast?
I started my podcast in January. I started planning it out in October of last year, but
Okay,
I
that's
didn't
cool.
start actually publishing anything until the middle of January. So I've only got about 4 episodes out there. I put another one out today.
That's awesome. And
Thanks.
so what kind of questions do you have for your guests on your podcast?
Well, it's about mental health. I call myself a mental health warrior or neurospicy mama. So we kind of talk about both
I like
things.
that.
I've got ADHD. My daughter and my son both have ADHD, and my daughter is on the spectrum. So I talk with women or professionals who work with women about mental health issues and neurodivergency.
Okay, I like that. Do
Thanks.
you have any like tools and resources that you can share with us? Because like for me, I just did my mental health evaluation. I knew a little bit that like I had problems with depression and anxiety, but the anger issues and things like that. And it wasn't until I got my mental health evaluation. Like when you act at home, you're like, oh, it's at home, I'm comfortable, I can do whatever I want. But when that person comes in the outside in public, you're like, okay, hold up, what is happening? This is not how I want to live my life, you know? So
Right.
I went and did my mental health evaluation. I think it was about 2 years ago, and I was able to give myself some grace because I am bipolar, um, major anxiety, major depression, codependency, PTSD because of trauma, ADHD symptom because of trauma. Um, did I say anger issues? Anyways, I got a lot going on, but it wasn't until I saw it and like being described of the symptoms that is like, oh, this is why I act the way I act. And like
Right.
not too long ago at work, I could feel that bipolar. I have chosen not to do medication, but I have had, extreme therapy, and I have paid for a coach, to get. So I say that I have paid 10 grand to be the person that I am today, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah, so coping mechanism and things like that. So I know the things that have helped me, but yeah, that to say, can you share some tools and resources that have helped you in your journey?
Yes, definitely. I've definitely done therapy. I do take medication and see a psychiatrist every few months. And I am heavy into meditation, either actual, I usually like to do podcasts with guided meditations or just music meditation to just kind of zone out. I also like to journal. I just purchased your journals, so I'm excited about those. I got one for my daughter and one for myself, and we're going to do them every evening together before bed. So
That's going
that's
to be
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah. And I just took an NLP practitioner training in December, and so I'm working on getting my certification for that so I can help other people with neuro linguistic programming.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm big into positive thinking and changing your reframing things because I'll tend to, I notice, think negative things and even say negative things. And then I have to catch myself and reframe them.
Hmm.
The more I do that, the better it gets and the quicker I can do it.
Yeah. And it's all about different coping mechanisms. Like I said just not too long ago, I had an episode, and because that's what I call it, because I felt like an out of body experience
Hmm.
where like I can see myself and I'm just like, oh my gosh, girl, you don't have to take it there. But like I took it there, and I have I call her my work wife, but she's like my bestie, my soulmate, my everything, you know? And I was just like, girl, I know that you're going through it, but like right now is I need 2 seconds. And she's like, no, I got you, I got you. And that's when I realized, like, okay, it's time to call the therapist again because something is not clicking again,
Right.
and I need to work better so that doesn't happen. And the thing is with me with having anger issues with bipolar, you got that resentment and that anger that is so easy to be like, oh, anger, you're here, let's hold hand and let's go for a walk. And it's like, no, girl, we don't have to do that. So then I have to put more work into getting into peace, joy, happiness.
Yes. Well, I remember times when I was so angry, especially the poor sales associates at Kohl's one day I just went off on over a return, and my son was humiliated. He was with me, and this was years ago. And I just, I wasn't self-aware at the time. Like those things would just roll out of me. And then later I would go, what the hell just happened? And now, like you said, I'm more self-aware. Like you notice you have this outer body thing going, oh my gosh, look at me. I'm getting out of control. And so now I can see that and kind of stop myself in my tracks and back up. But that's taken a lot of, like you said, therapy and life coaching. I'm still in life
Mhm.
coaching. So it's a process. It's every day I try to be better than I was the day before.
Yeah. I that's all that we can do. And even if we have it
Yes.
like that day, it was all about going back to the hour thing. It was like, well, I messed up at 1 p.m., so let's just do better at 2 p.m. And
Exactly.
sometimes he can and sometimes he can't. But like it's the self-awareness and then giving yourself grace, compassion, and understanding that you will
Yes.
give a stranger or your kid. Because I'm sure if your kid was going through what you're going through, you will not react the way that you do when it's you personally. You really
Right.
take it to heart. And it's like, no. So once again, it wasn't until like I got the mental health evaluation and just learning this different coping mechanisms and things like that. But is there anything else that you would like to tell my listeners about you or your mission?
Well, I just want people to know there's hope out there. I've been down really low where I've been suicidal. I've attempted suicide, thankfully was not successful. Um, I know how hard it can get. I've got an aunt who committed suicide. Um, and I just want people to know that life does get better, that even when you're thinking you're a burden on everybody else and that you would be doing them a favor to leave, or that life is never going to improve, your brain is lying to you and you need to get help and refocus. And there is help out there.
And it's okay to say, I am not okay.
Yes, I agree.
So, thank you so much for your time with us and sharing your mission and your story and being vulnerable with us. And for your support too. I will be sending those tomorrow in the mail, which by the time the
Yay.
interview plays, it's been months. So hopefully you have been using it for a minute now and you love it as much as I do.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Life with Francie podcast. You know, you can find it in all major platforms as well as my YouTube channel. You can find her information in the description of the episode. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye bye.